My name is Alexander Hillier, and I'm going to talk to you today about the importance of DNA evidence. A little bit of the history of DNA evidence. It is also known as forensic evidence. Forensic science was not as studied as it is today in the 90s. In the 90s, they really did not understand the value of forensic science, nor did they have the technology to keep up with the demands of the forensic process itself. If forensic science was more popular back in the 90s, it would have been helpful to conclude multiple cases. No one really understood the true value of forensic science in court. In the OJ case, his blood was found in the same blood as Nicole Simpson and Ron Goldman, but the case, we all know the outcome. He was acquitted, and some of the reason could be to improper collection of evidence. Why is collection of evidence so important, and what is the importance of evidence? In the collection of forensic evidence, the evidence must be handled properly and accounted for at all times, also known as the chain of custody. If evidence was not improperly collected, the OJ case could have had a completely different outcome. With the outcome the way it was, it kind of showed a flaw in the criminal justice system. Why is handling evidence so important? If collected improperly, evidence can be dismissed by the judge, and evidence cannot help the jury come to a conclusion to convict someone of a crime they did not commit or did commit. It can also show a flaw in the criminal justice system and can be turned against the defense, showing that they could set up a crime, quote unquote. How evidence is collected. In a study conducted by Felipe Santos, he tells us how to make a story from a crime scene, starting from getting there to handing it over to the officials. First, in the early 2000s, the police really handled most of the evidence collection, which in turn is not proper today. The police officers would take the evidence, handle it, put it in their car, take it to somewhere, hold on to it for a couple days, and then it would resurface during the court. Which, in the OJ case, they took some of the evidence, held it in the police officer's car, who turned out to be not very popular amongst the LA community. Then, police today aren't as involved in the collection of evidence because they are meant to take care of the crime scene outside, set up the crime tape, take care of the media, and consult with victims. And they leave that to the experts, like the forensic experts and the detectives, to go in there and figure out and properly collect the evidence, take photos, and make sure it gets handled in the right hands. Filipino Santos also states that human error is key to improper collection of evidence, along with convicting someone of a crime they did not commit. If evidence was collected properly, it could be a grand slam to the jury and ultimately convict someone of a crime, or it could ultimately release someone of a crime. Forensic evidence as a value is mind-blowing. With help of statistics and well-experienced experts, it could be over 110% accurate. And when it comes to fingerprints, no fingerprint is one of the like. Even identical twins have different fingerprints. So, back in the 90s, they did not have the proper tools to collect that kind of evidence, which in turn got OJ acquitted. Is forensic evidence reliable? Forensic evidence is very reliable unless human error is a key factor in the collection. It becomes a problem of injustice and showing a flaw in the criminal justice system if there is a bad outcome. For example, a court study conducted by Justin Severe shows a human error in how courts can be unjust. The case was Prague versus Ohio in 1998. Prague versus Ohio was a very interesting case. Before I go into detail of the case, remember that this case was in 1998 when forensic was not very valuable back then, as it is today in the late 2000s. The case was about Douglas Prague and his conviction of murdering his ex-wife. Prague's wife was a doctor. She was found shot to death in a parking lot the day before Thanksgiving in 1998. The first suspect would generally be Prague. He was also the Akron police captain. He ultimately stood trial for her murder. A bite mark on his wife's lab coat left people curious, and left only one option, and that was Praed. A dental expert claimed the bite mark matched up with Praed's teeth perfectly, and after the jury heard the statement, it took the jury only 4 hours to convict Praed of the murder. First degree murder, as a matter of fact. I find something wrong with the jury coming to a conclusion that quick, but remember, we did not have the technology back in the late 90s than we do today. Praed remained in prison for 15 years until he was released in early 2013. When previously untested DNA evidence surfaced from the Ohio Innocent Project of the University of Cincinnati, they had collected a little bit of DNA evidence near the bite mark on the lab coat. They excluded Praed. They found that the evidence could not have been Praed's teeth. The bite mark was misaligned with Praed's jaw, and the evidence on the lab coat was nearly impossible to prove that it was Praed. He was then let free after 15 years. The court and the state resulted in $16 million in damages for wrongful conviction of more than one case. Multiple cases shows injustice of one person's dental expertise showed a flaw in the whole system, resulting in that many millions of dollars being lost. If forensic evidence was important in 1998 as it is today, Praed would have been 15 years innocent. This case shows how powerful DNA evidence can be and how well that you have to conduct yourself properly as a professional to keep your job, along with not messing up in court, because if you lie an oath, that is against the law and it could cost the state millions of dollars. And that is the end.